What if I told you discipline doesn't exist? Let me guess, you've tried everything. You've watched the motivational videos, set a million goals, made lists, promised yourself that this time you'd stay consistent, that you'd follow through. But no matter how many times you try, something always happens. The motivation fades. The discipline dies. You feel like a failure. Again. But here's the truth, and it might be the most important thing you hear today. It's not your fault. And by the end of this conversation, you're going to understand why you feel stuck and how to finally break out of it, for good. Welcome to the circus. We're constantly being bombarded with flashy images and motivational nonsense. You scroll through Instagram or TikTok and there's always that guy. The dude with the six-pack, perfect jawline, Rolex on his wrist, BMW in the driveway, probably lives in some mansion by the beach. And he's staring into the camera telling you in a super deep voice, "Mate, success only came when I flipped the switch, changed my mindset, and started grinding hard every day." What he's really saying is, you're broke and miserable because you don't work hard enough. You don't have discipline. You don't want it badly enough. And for a second you believe him. You say to yourself, "That's it. I'm changing everything." You activate Viking mode, or monk mode, or whatever trendy label is going around right now. You start waking up before the sun, taking cold showers, eating like a Navy SEAL, smashing CrossFit at 5 a.m., downing black coffee and listening to war drums. For 3 days you feel unstoppable. And then, it crashes. Suddenly it's 3 a.m., and you're lying on the couch in your undies, eating caramel popcorn and watching trashy reality TV while scrolling TikTok for the 800th time. We've all been there. We start off as Rocky Balboa and end up more like Shikamaru, bored, lazy, and full of excuses. And then it hits. That little voice in your head whispers, "Maybe I'm just useless. Maybe I'll never get my life together." I'm gonna tell you a secret. You know those guys selling you courses shouting about discipline like it's some magical force? They're lying. Discipline isn't real. Sounds crazy, right? You're probably thinking I'm just another guy online trying to justify wasting 200 hours on The Witcher 3. But here's the thing, I've lived this. I was the before picture before the actual before picture. Depressed, obese, 130 kilograms and climbing. No job, no drive, no purpose. My diet? A mix of frozen pizza, regret, soft drink, and Nutella. My hobbies? Porn, games, binge-watching Netflix, and complaining. Not necessarily in that order. I wasn't living. I was surviving. Barely. And I hated myself for it. But something changed. Not overnight. Not with some miracle mindset shift. And definitely not because I found discipline. No. What changed me was understanding this one simple truth. You don't need discipline. You need a reason. The real reason it's so hard to change. Here's how it usually goes. You're sitting there gaming, eating junk, chilling. Living the dream, right? Then out of nowhere, this weird little voice shows up in your head. "Bro, you can't just keep doing this forever. Maybe it's time to change." You try to ignore it, but it always comes back. Deep down, something inside you knows you're capable of more. That you're meant for something bigger. But you don't want to move now. You're comfortable. Say, no. So why don't we change even when we know we should? Because your brain sees it differently. Think about it. We work our arses off for years, 60-hour weeks, chasing promotions, trying to get rich, all just so we can retire early and finally chill. Sit on the beach, play video games, eat what we want. So your brain goes, hang on, if the whole point of working hard is to relax later, why not just relax now? Makes sense, doesn't it? Your brain is constantly doing this weird maths. Is this effort really worth the reward? And 99% of the time, it picks the easy route. That's not laziness. That's survival. But now the real question. How do we beat this system? The discipline lie. You've probably heard it a million times. Discipline is the key to success. But let's break that down. If discipline was just about willpower, no one would be addicted to anything. No one would be overweight. No one would procrastinate. Because all we'd have to do is want to change and boom, done. But it's not that simple. That's why people started pushing the habit angle. Turn it into a habit and you won't need willpower. Which is true to a point. Habits are automatic, like brushing your teeth or driving. But here's the kicker. Discipline is what happens when motivation is strong enough to override comfort. That's all it is. You see someone running at 5 a.m. in the rain? That's not discipline. That's motivation so deep and personal, it drowns out every excuse. I once binged an entire TV series in one day. That's not laziness, that's motivation. I wanted to see how it ended. We're all motivated. Every single day. The problem is what we're motivated for. Motivation isn't hype, it's purpose. Forget the cheesy quotes. Motivation isn't clapping in a group of sweaty joggers or screaming into a mirror. Motivation is having a clear why. From a neuroscience point of view, discipline literally doesn't exist in the brain. There's no discipline area. What does exist? Circuits for motivation and reward. Which means, discipline is just a fancy word for sustained motivation. That person you think is super disciplined? They just have a reason that's stronger than their comfort. Let me tell you about a monkey and some juice. Stay with me. A neuroscientist from Cambridge, Wolfram Schultz, did an experiment with monkeys and juice. Every time a light flashed, the monkey pressed a button and it got some juice. The scientists measured its dopamine, the motivation chemical. Here's what they found. Dopamine didn't spike when the monkey drank the juice. It spiked when the light turned on, because the monkey knew what was coming. It anticipated the reward, was motivated. But here's the catch. If the monkey didn't know juice was coming, it didn't care. It just sat there. No action. No motivation. That's how humans work too. If you don't know what your juice is, what you're chasing, you won't move. So, what's your juice? Stop borrowing other people's dreams. Here's the real trap. Most of the time we don't even know what we want. We're just chasing whatever society tells us to want. Money, status, fancy holidays, likes and followers. But that's not your dream. That's someone else's. You'll never stay motivated chasing a life that doesn't fit who you really are. You don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to start a business. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. or eat boiled chicken every day. You need to figure out what actually matters to you. Let's find your juice. Here's how. Look at your future. Be brutally honest. If nothing changes, if you stay exactly how you are, where will you be in 2 years? 5? 10? What don't you want? Use fear. If your future looks like a sad rerun of your present, let that discomfort push you into action. What do you want? And don't say what sounds cool. Really sit with it. Most people don't know because they've been force-fed fake dreams. If you don't want to change, do you want to change? That little part of you that clicked this video? That's the spark. That's what we build from. From spark to fire. Now make a list. Everything you think you want. Get fit. Eat better. Read more. Start a business. Quit your job. Learn guitar. Then go through it and ask, is this really mine? Or is this what I think I should want? Cross out the fakes. Keep the real ones. And then, start tiny. Want to get fit? Do 5 push-ups. Want to read? 1 page. Want to eat healthier? 1 proper meal. Small wins. Every day. Why? Because those wins remind you, I'm moving in the right direction. And I'll be honest with you, one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make was choosing to stop wasting time. I was tired of waking up exhausted, distracted, numbed by cheap dopamine, stuck in cycles that drain my energy and confidence. But the truth is, I didn't know how to break free. I honestly believed I was beyond saving, that I was just broken, some kind of wasted potential. Until I found a method. Not a miracle. Not a quick fix. But a clear path, a kind of inner war manual. A 21-day system, designed for men like us. Men who are tired of being weak. Tired of being addicted to comfort. Tired of running in circles. This guide doesn't promise comfort, but it does promise transformation. It's about building a cold, focused, unshakable mind. The kind of mindset that does what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. If that speaks to you, there's a link in the description and the first comment. Grab your copy and start today. I trust this method so much, based on the teachings of Machiavelli and Napoleon Hill, that I'm giving you 7 days to try it risk-free. If you don't feel your mind shifting within the first few days, you get your money back. No questions. So go ahead. Prove to yourself that there's still a warrior inside. Start today, or keep postponing your better self, until it's too late to change. But what if it's still hard? Let's be real, life throws curveballs. You'll have days where nothing makes sense. Where your brain screams, 5 push-ups? Who cares? That's pointless. But here's what you say back. It matters, because this is my juice. And that's how you build your real discipline. Not by pushing harder, but by remembering why you started. The battle between pleasure and purpose. Our minds work in 2 modes. Hedonic behavior, chasing easy, short-term pleasure. Netflix, junk food, scrolling, comfort. Eudaimonic behavior, chasing growth and meaning. Working out, creating, helping others, learning. Modern life pushes us into mode number 1 constantly. But true joy, the stuff that fills your soul, comes from mode number 2. You know that feeling after a hard workout, or when you finally finish a project. That's what we are really chasing. Discipline isn't pain, it's self-respect. You don't have to do anything, but you choose to, because you value yourself. You don't go to the gym because you hate your body. You go because you love it enough to take care of it. That's not punishment. That's power. Final thought. Discipline is not about waking up early or grinding non-stop. It's about building a life that aligns with your values, and protecting that life with your actions. So ask yourself, what's my juice? And once you know, you'll never need motivation hacks again. Because when life throws punches, when you're tired, when nothing makes sense, you'll keep going. Not because you're disciplined, but because you've got a reason that's stronger than your excuses. Now tell me, what's your juice?